non-functional harmony. And we talked about, we had enough explanation for the tonal harmonic structure, modal harmonic structure, and modal interchange. Now, in this video, we'll talk about non-functional harmonic structures. Non-functionality means there is no centric value in our harmonic progressions. But what is our main device to create non-functionality? You remember from our previous videos, I explained in the modulation section, extended dominance. When we have the extended dominance, because of lack of centricity, we use a descriptive analysis. In non-functional harmonic structures, we'll use the same device, descriptive analysis. And by means of descriptive analysis, we'll explain the pattern relationships, and we'll see how these patterns break the connection from centric value in our chord progressions. And the first device to create that patterns is the constant structures. Constant structures have a kind of progressions, and we use the mostly major 7 sound, minor 7. Again, we don't want to use the dominant 7 in the non-functional chord progressions because that gives the color for that implies a resolution pattern, and that gives the implication of the tonal color. That's why we mostly use the major 7 and minor 7. Okay, let's start with constant structure. To create constant structure, we need to identify the constant value of the chord progressions. I want to start with the major sound, major 7 sound. I want to define the major sound as our constant value, and I'll create the chord progressions on the base of major 7 color. C major 7, D major 7, F major 7, and G major 7. There is no tension resolution pattern. There is no modal quality in these chords. And then let's hear the chord quality and we'll see how it sounds. C major 7, D major 7, F major 7, then G major 7, and where's the center? Where's the 1? But I just start with the first chord root, but it doesn't make sense at all. Because of these constant values, we have the distorted form of perception. To get the centricity, it means that we cannot have functional analysis because there is no one chord here. That's why the first tool to create a non-functional color in our progressions, constant structure. The second one is the modal-based chord progression. We created patterns on the basis of linear intervallic pattern, and then we apply to different degrees, but not in the sense of tonality. And then when we have these variations, that creates another form of non-functional harmonic progression. This is modal-based patterns. And for example, I just want to create pattern like this: C major 7, then E flat major 7. Okay, I created modal, but I just want to show the modal in this bracket, but it is not the 2-5-1. There's nothing related with the tonality. And then I created another form of that pattern, but I just want to use a different color, minor 7. For example, I want to use F minor 7 and A flat minor 7. This is my another pattern. Same relationship, same intervallic relationship, minor third, but the chord qualities here major 7 and here minor 7. Let's hear the color. C major 7, E flat major 7, then F minor 7, A flat minor 7. And where is 1? I just want to hear the first chord root. I mean, it doesn't make any connection. It doesn't have any connection with the tonal centricity. That's why we cannot have the functional analysis. That's why we need to use descriptive analysis. When you want to analyze these kind of chord progressions, the only tool you can do is just kind of the descriptions to show the relationships. And for the modal-based patterns, the most famous piece and the most actually beautiful piece for modal-based patterns, time remembered from Bill Evans, is especially all chord structures, old patterns are based on modal-based patterns and constant structures. And it's a beautiful example for non-functional harmonic patterns and non-functional harmonic chord structures. And let's hear the first 4 bars. And let's analyze the chord structures, and you will see how these explanations are interlinked with these 4 bars. Okay, the piece sounds like this. This is first 5 chords. Let's analyze the chord structures. And the first chord, C minor 7. Then we have C major 7. This is minor second distance between these 2 chords, and he applied the same model for next 2 chords in a retrograded form. Okay, the F major 7 and then E minor 7. It's kind of reverse form of the same chord progressions, and minor 7, then major 7 and minor 7, but the old relationship is based on minor second interval. That's why it's a kind of the mixture of these modal-based patterns and constant structure approaches. And again, B minor 7, C major 7, F minor 7, E minor 7. And there is no one, there is no centricity in these chord progressions. And the most famous piece in jazz literature, the giant steps from John Coltrane. The technique we use to analyze giant steps is multi-tonic chord structures. The third form of non-functional chord structures is multi-tonic structures. Okay, what does multi-tonic mean? And for tonal harmony, our structural points create a symmetrical form of perception. And think about the C major, and we have subdominant F, right? Then we have the C. Look at the notes of this division. For example, when we Do, F, Fa, Sol, and Do. Look at the division. This is the fourth, major second, and fourth, and that gives us the color of the centricity, and also in terms of inversion symmetry, and I will explain later. Look at the C, and it's in the middle of these 2 notes, like then or. When we hear the C, then we can, our first impression is to accept that note as our center. But for the multitonic structures, we are trying to create a symmetrical relationship to divide an octave. And for example, when we have C, this is 1 octave, and if you want to divide in a symmetrical way, you can have different options. For example, if you want to have the symmetrical division on the base of augmented fourths, we have 2 notes, right? Do, Fa diez, Do, then Fa diez, Do. These 2 notes can be the tonic, right? Because it is divided equally. Then if you want to have your division on the base of major third, we have Do, Mi, La bemol, Do. Again, each note has tonic function, but these are temporary notes. That's why we can have the sense of just one centricity in this division. Okay, and this is the main strategy to create multi-tonic structures. Let's analyze the giant steps and see how the relationship occurs in that progression. And the first bar, B major 7, D dominant 7, G major 7, B flat dominant 7, and E flat major 7. The next chord, A minor 7, D dominant 7. Then it goes to G major 7. And the same relationship takes place in the same way to create multitonic structures. If you analyze the first line in the first 4 bars in that piece, then there's no problem about understanding the structure. Okay, look at the main chords: B major 7, G major 7, and E flat major 7. Okay, and that creates the three tonics. And let's start from the G to show the relationship in that order. G, then B, then E flat. Then if you want to complete the cycle, then you can go to do G again. That's division. That division creates the very symmetrical shape. That's why we cannot get the form of centricity. That's why we cannot label as 1 major 7 or flat 3 major 7. There's no centricity in that progression. Again, we cannot have the Roman numeral analysis. That's why we need to use the descriptive analysis. We can say that, okay, this is the resolution for the other tonics, and we have B major, G major, and E flat major, and the root B, G, E flat. This is our multi-tonics. Don't care about this D flat and G resolution and B flat and B flat dominant 7 and E flat major 7 resolution. It doesn't make any difference about the structural progression. It is still non-functional, but it is just emphasizing on that chords, that multi-tonic chords. And when you want to analyze and when you want to write it down, you can use the circles to give the multi-tonic chords, and then you can write as just it's based on the major third relationship, and that's enough for your analysis. For the chord scale options in non-functional structures, especially it's valid for the tonal harmonic structures as well, and also that creates very simple way to create a relationship with the chord scales and the chord structures. And use Dorian for any minor chord for non-functional structures, and use Lydian for any major seventh sound. It fits perfectly, no problem about it. Use the Lydian flat seventh sound for any dominant chord. It works perfectly for the dominant seventh chord. But this is for improvisation. Okay, but if you want to use the chord scale in terms of compositional structures, you need to look at the form. You need to look at what's your melodic ideas and how would you describe your melodic shape? How would you find the real connection between the melody, rhythm, and harmony? That's why, I mean, you cannot memorize all the scales, and when you see that automatically using calculating the relationship and doing the old chord scale relationship. No, try to get the sense of the music. What makes this relationship special for you? Try to find the way to create your own identity. Okay, these are the devices to understand the structures, but if you want to express yourself, you have to build authentic relationship, build identity. This is very, very important, and that's why first, okay, these are tools to approach to what you are trying to do. Then you have to have felt perception. You have to have the relationship between thinking and listening, and as a consequence of that process, you can say that, okay, this is what I want. When you have that decision, nobody can do anything about it. Okay, and see you in our next video, and I hope these explanations and will create a space for your new adventures. Take care of yourselves.